This is The Pet Show with America's favorite pet expert, Warren Eckstein. Warren's the author of How to Get Your Dog to Do What You Want, How to Get Your Cat to Do What You Want, and he's here to answer all your pet and animal questions. Now, say hello to Warren Eckstein.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to The Pet Show. Does your dachshund have you delirious? Are your Abyssinians acting a little aloof? Does your Chihuahua seem cranky? You know he does. Well, if you love your dogs and adore your cats, and really want to understand your pets, how they think, and what goes on inside their heads, stay tuned, because once again, right here, right now, it is time for The Pet Show. America and Canada's first and only real pet psychology, pet training, pet behavior, and of course, pet lifestyle show. So hop up on my couch, bring those furry little buddies with you, folks, because it is that time once again to let the animal analyzing begin. Hello, everyone. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show, the place where we absolutely, positively, never a doubt about it, love, adore, and as I stress every single week, respect pets and animals as much as you do. By the way, if you have a question about your dog or cat's behavior, they're chewing, they're jumping, they're barking, they're digging, your cat looks at the litter box and says, "There's no way I'm going to pee in that." Cat woke you up in the middle of the night. You took your dog for a nice leisurely walk after dinner. You thought it was going to be enjoyable. But all of a sudden, your dog looked across the street, and there he was, that other dog in the neighborhood, and your dog turned from Rin Tin Tin into Cujo in seconds. So whatever question you may have about your dog or cat's behavior, want me to help you resolve, great time to give me a call. The phone number here at The Pet Show, 877-725-8255. That's 877-725-8255. That is the way to get through. Plenty of time for your calls, and lots of time to help you resolve any issues that you may be having with your dogs or cats, or as I always say, any issues your dogs or cats may be having with you, which is a lot more common. Let me tell you what I have planned for today's show. However, if you're a regular listener to The Pet Show, as well you should be, you know that I never get through all my topics. Why? Because your questions, your comments, your suggestions are always my priority. But here's some topics I'd like to touch on today. Number one, so many of my listeners, I love you guys. You guys are amazing. We've been talking together for so many years now, decades. So many of my listeners have adopted or rescued an older dog. And there's a lot of people say, well, you don't want to adopt an older dog. You don't want to adopt an older cat. You don't want to rescue an older dog because they come with baggage. I say nonsense. But some people may be hesitant about adopting that older dog because of what they heard. Well, coming up on today's show, don't be shy about adopting an older dog. We're going to take a look at training the older dog, which is absolutely incredible. Yeah, they may come with a little bit of they didn't know how to do this, or they didn't know how to do that, or they wound up at the shelter because no one trained them, everyone ignored them. So we're going to take a look at training the older rescue dog. And let me tell you, once you rescue a dog, or a cat for that matter, they know it, and they pay you back every single day for the rest of their life. Anyway, here's a story. I read this week, and I said, that's kind of interesting. Maybe it's true. Hear me out on this one. I recently read an article about whether or not your cats actually think, listen to me carefully, whether or not your cats actually think that you, in fact, are their pets. They're not your pets, but you are their pets. We're going to take a look at that. Many of my listeners have been owned by a cat, agree with me on this as well. The story coming up. Think about it. Think about it. Are you your cat's pet, or is your cat your pet? We'll take a look at that as well. Also coming up, dogs absorb our emotions. Dogs absorb our feelings. How much does the way you behave or the way you feel affect your pets? If I'm a little blue or a little depressed or going through something in my life, I don't have to say a word. My friends may not know it. My upright friends may not know it. Even family members may not know it. But I got to tell you, if there's something kind of off, if I'm not feeling good, if I'm depressed or anxious or just feeling a little blue, my pets know it and they respond accordingly. So we're going to take a look at something called emotional contagion. How much does the way we really feel affect our pets? We'll take a look at that. I'd like to get some of your comments on it as well. As always, plenty of time to answer all of your pet and animal questions. So if your pet is chewing, jumping, maybe they're confused about the litter box, or that brand new dog you rescued is not housebroken. Maybe they were abandoned and they're suffering with separation anxiety. Maybe they're depressed. Maybe they're chasing anything that moves. Or maybe your dog just believes if he sees it, it's his job to hump it. Give me a call. Again, that number, 877-725-8255. Now, here is the question of the week. This is going to get me in trouble, but you know what? It's probably going to get a lot of other people in trouble as well. Here is the question. Number one, here we go. Who is easier to live with? Who is easier to live with, your pet or your significant other? Who's easier to live with? I'd give you my answer, but I think my wife is listening. Again, the number 877-725-8255. And I would be negligent if I didn't talk a little bit about Halloween. Now, Halloween was last night. So why is Warren talking about it the day after? Well, it's just as dangerous. Think about it. You're walking your dog down the street and there's pieces of pumpkin, which that alone isn't deadly, but there's all kinds of candy wrappers and maybe candy was thrown away and those sparkle things that kids carry around when they walk. All of those are really dangerous for your dog. So anytime the day after Halloween or the day after 4th of July when you take your pets outside, be real careful. I generally go out into my yard before I let the guys out and I kind of scan the backyard to make sure everything looks copacetic and no one's going to get hurt. So we do that. And I think it's a good idea to do that as well. And then the other thing is, I don't know, a lot of people dress their pets up for the holidays, whether it be Halloween, Christmas, Easter, whatever. I got to be honest with you guys. My dogs, no matter what holiday it is, are walking around butt naked. That's just the way it is. If they came to me and said, hey, Warren, I think I'd like to do this. I'd like to wear this. Does it bother me that some people dress up their pets? I guess if their dog or their cat enjoys it, and some dogs and cats really do enjoy it, then it's kind of okay with me. But if there's any hesitation, if the dog reacts to it or the cat reacts to it, maybe that's not the way to do it. Again, the number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255. You know what? Let's shoot over to a phone call and see what my listeners have to say.
I have a dog that whines and shakes all the time for no reason. No matter what I do to coddle him, no matter what I do to distract him, no matter what I do to comfort him or excite him or whatever it might be, nothing seems to work. He's a rescue of a 1.5 years. He's a beautiful, wonderful dog. He's had a lot of growth, and it's been great, but I was just curious to see what the thoughts were.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of interesting because so many rescue dogs do suffer with situations like this. And when we think we're, as you put it, coddling them or making them feel better, sometimes the association from the dog's perspective of making them feel better is something that maybe not felt so good in the past. Maybe they were hugged too hard or yelled at. So first of all, bless you for rescuing the dog. I love everyone who rescues a dog. So here's my recommendation for you. Sometimes when the dog is excited, we overly react to calm them down. Number one, of course, it's a rescue dog, so I'm assuming you went to the vet and the dog is healthy physically. So let's take a look at it from an emotional perspective. One of the most important things that you can do is assume that this 1.5-year-old dog that you so greatly adopted didn't go through any training, never received the socialization or the exposure that a puppy did. So we're starting out with an adult dog that has the mindset of a puppy. Basic training. Do I care whether the dog sits the first time? Do I care whether the dog walks perfectly? No. But by taking the time and focusing on good, solid, positive, basic behavior, the dog is starting to realize and gain confidence. He's getting self-esteem. He's feeling better about himself. All of these things can make a major, major difference in terms of the way the dog responds. Very often, we just assume if we kiss the dog or we hug the dog or we pet the dog, we don't know what the dog might have gone through in the past. He might have been abused. I'll give you a prime example. One of my dogs, Willie, I have 2 rescue dogs, Molly and Willie. Together they weighed 13 pounds, but they were severely abused and I adopted them from a high-kill shelter. And to this day, I cannot walk behind Willie. He's getting better over the years and he's gotten a lot better, but he was pushed around. He was probably kicked in the back. So as soft and as gentle as I may be, it's taken this long. So patience is a virtue. The most important thing, though, is good, solid, basic training. You can go to the website, thepetshow.com. You can go to my YouTube at Warren Eckstein. And there's a big sale going on my website on my basic book right now, How to Get Your Dog to Do What You Want. And one of the most important things, whether the dog's a puppy or whether the dog's 8 or 9 years old, basic training is the way to go. Sometimes coddling, the dog doesn't know how to react to that. If the dog never received that positive or that socialization, the dog may not know how to react to the positive and therefore react negatively, even though you're actually doing a positive thing with him. So good basic training, short periods, not more than 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time. But really one of the most important things to do is spend a lot of time socializing the dog. And don't overdo it. Don't expect him to learn right away. But when he learns something, give him praise. Sometimes praise can be kind of a combination. It could be positive or it could be negative. So if you're going to praise the dog, make sure you don't overdo it. Maybe he associates the praise with being yelled at. Bless you again for adopting this dog. I love you people for doing that. But I want you to understand, you're talking to someone who's had as many as 30 adopted dogs at one time. Everyone had a different personality. But taking the time to build up their self-esteem and build up their self-confidence with good basic training just to establish that relationship can make all the difference. So good luck. And again, bless you for taking this dog in. You know, I've said it a million times to people that when you adopt a dog or rescue a cat, they know it and they pay you back every single day for the rest of their life. There's no doubt in my mind about that. So many dogs I've taken in, and I've taken dogs in that came out of fighting rings. And so many of my listeners have taken dogs that have been abused or found on the streets. And it makes all the difference in the world. But remember, try not to compare to dogs you may have had in the past. And try to remember that we really don't know what this dog's been through. Has he been abused? And abuse doesn't have to be physical abuse. As a behaviorist, let me tell you, I would say that a good majority of the animals I work with may not have gone through physical abuse, but neglect abuse. What is neglect abuse? We'll talk about that in a future show, but very often just the fact that they're not receiving any positive attention, that neglect is really kind of a form of abuse as well. Phone number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. That is the way to get through. So there was an interesting story. I'm going to share it a little bit later, but it really made me think. And I want you guys to kind of think about this as well. We go to work every day. Our cats want food. We get them the kind of food they want. They sleep wherever they want. We wake up when they wake us up. Some people actually watch TV shows because their cats actually enjoy them. I'm not making that up. I do have listeners that do that. So we're going to talk a little bit later is how, whether or not you believe that you are your cat's guardian, or the cat looks at you and says, you know, they may think that. They may think they have everything under control. But take it from me. I may be a cat. I may be the feline in the house. But when it comes to control, I control everything that goes on. I dictate the feeding times. I choose the sleeping spot. I interrupt their routine whenever I want it. They sit on your devices. They're just so much in charge. And does that bother me? No, I think that living with my dogs and living with my cats and letting them realize that they're part of the family, they're not just a family dog, can make all the difference in the world. But think about this. They decide when they want to play. We don't decide. They decide when they want to play. They decide when they want to be groomed, when they want to be petted, and they vocalize to let us know that as well. So it's kind of interesting whether or not we look at our dogs or our cats, this is specifically about cats, as their pets. I wouldn't mind being my dog's pet. If they treat me as well as I treat them, I think things are going to be okay. 877-725-8255. As I said, the question of the day is, who is easier to live with, your pet or your significant other? Interesting question. Easier to live. I didn't say love more. Maybe that should be another question. But I think sometimes our pets may be a little bit easier to get along with based on the fact that they never question, where have you been? What did you do? They just accept us for what we are. They just do. And I think that's why our relationship with our dogs and cats are so strong. The other thing I was thinking about the other day, I'm going to get to some more calls. We got someone who's having a baby. They want to know what to do. We got a dog that's pooping in the house. We can't have that. A cat that started peeing. A husky that needs rescue. We'll get to as many calls as we possibly can. But still coming up on today's show, some really, really good information. Training that older dog. Now, you just heard me talking to a listener that adopted a dog. It's like a year and a half old right now, and it shakes all the time and whines all the time. There could be a physical reason for that, but in many cases with the adopted dog, it's their way of either getting attention or avoiding attention. But very often, if they're in a new home and they've been neglected, it's their way of getting attention, which is kind of an interesting way to approach it. And again, we're going to talk about training coming up a little bit later as well. And also, Also, we're going to take a look at our feelings. You know, years ago when I was doing a lot of training, I mean thousands of dogs all up and down the East Coast and Europe as well. When I would work with a dog, I would always take time to look at the family. What's the makeup of the family? 2.5 kids. Is grandma living there? Is grandpa living there? And who is the dog more attached to? So we're going to take a look at that. It's really an interesting subject, the concept of emotional contagion. How much the way we feel, how much the way we behave really does in fact our dog or our cat's behavior. So we're going to take a look at that coming up. Again, the phone number 877-725-8255. 877-725-8255. That is the way to get through. Let me take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at a dog that started pooping in the house. A poop call on the Pet Show. Not too unusual. And also, real interesting. Years ago, I wrote articles for Parent Magazine and Baby Talk Magazine. And I went to, I'm trying to say, Lamaze classes. Is that it when you're having a baby? I would lecture at classes all over the country on how to prepare your pet for the arrival of a baby. And we got a question coming up about that. So if you're an expectant parent, an expectant aunt or uncle, an expectant grandparent, you're not going to want to miss that coming up. 877-725-8255. Quick break, then right back to your phone calls. You know, I want to tell you why my Hugs and Kisses Animal Fund is so critical and so important to the rescue and humane community. We're different than most. You know, there are big groups out there. You know who their names are. They advertise on TV and they spend a lot of money in marketing and advertising. And they do good work. I would be the last one to deny that. I've been on the board for many of them. But what we do with my own Hugs and Kisses Animal Fund, which, by the way, is a 501c3 nonprofit, we search out the most deserving, here's the word, small rescue and humane groups all across the country. And a lot of people are unaware that these small rescue and humane groups that you see at the shopping mall or having a garage sale or a car wash or a bake sale, these small groups do the majority, literally the majority of animal rescue. These groups are made up of totally volunteers, all volunteers, so busy trying to save the animals that they really never have enough money or enough time to raise the funds that they really need. And that's where you and I come together. We're kind of like the United Way. Hear me out on this. When you join me with the Hugs and Kisses Animal Fund by making a donation, we raise the money together so that we can continue their life-saving work without them worrying about advertising and rescuing. Every dollar that you donate to hugsandskissesanimalfund.org, every single dollar goes directly to these small mom and pop rescues all across America. Every single dollar. In fact, even the expenses are covered by me. I want you to go to their website, or my website, hugsandskissesanimalfund.org, hugsandskissesanimalfund.org. Let me do that again, hugsandskissesanimalfund.org. When you're there, just read the thank you letters. Literally, read the thank you letters from people I've been able to help because you've been able to help me. Together, we make all the difference in the world and save hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of animals all across the country. So please help me. I thank you. The volunteers thank you. And most importantly, the animals thank you. Go to Hugs and Kisses Animal Fund. You could donate there by PayPal. You could donate with your credit card. There's an address there if you prefer sending a check. Or a lot of people want to call for more information. You can give us a call. Here's the phone number, 623-349-7212. That's 623-349-7212. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show. And we are back on The Pet Show. I'm Warren Eckstein. We're going to take a little time here, giving you enough time to give your dogs and cats a big hug and a kiss for a little treat. We'll be right back with your questions. I'm Warren Eckstein.
Three cool
cats. We are back on The Pet Show. I'm Warren Eckstein. That phone number, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. That is the way to get through. Let me do this right now. Did you know, and it's kind of interesting, that poor mental health in human beings, that's you and I, poor mental health between you and me, actually is associated with more behavioral issues about our pets. Let me explain this to you. I'm not going to be dropping names, but I am going to be dropping names. Over the years, I've had the opportunity of training and working with President Ford, Al Pacino, Cheryl Tiegs, Rodney Dangerfield, David Letterman. The list goes on and on and on. And very often, I can tell more about the person I'm working with because of the behavior of the dog. Let's take Lily Tomlin, for example. God bless her. I adore Lily Tomlin, became a really close friend, and I worked with not only her dog, but I actually worked with one of her goats named Bucky. She had a little Norwich Terrier named Tess. Beautiful, beautiful little dog. And when I got to start working with the dog, in fact, I went out to L.A. I was living in New York at the time, went out to L.A. She actually lived in the old W.C. Fields estate, which was interesting because all the props from the movie, The Incredible Shrinking Woman, were at her house. The big rocking chair, the big cassette player. So it was kind of interesting. But anyway, I started working with her dog, Tess. And I noticed it. I noticed that Tess had multiple personalities. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, Warren. But the dog legitimately had multiple personalities. And I was thinking to myself, what could possibly cause this dog? It's not living with a lot of people. Sometimes they could have different personalities. There's a bunch of people in the house. But then it occurred to me that Lily practices several different personalities throughout the day. She might be Ernestine at one time and a different person at the other time. So the fact that her dog Tess was living with her and she was practicing all of these different personalities was a bit confusing to the dog, and the dog's personalities changed at the same time. It was just absolutely fascinating to watch that. So one of the things that's really interesting to understand is that very often when I'm working or training a dog, and even with your own dogs, you should take a look at family members. If someone in the family is overly anxious, if someone in the family is depressed, or if someone in the family is fearful, these all come together and affect the behavior of our dogs and our cats. So it's important to remember, very often the most important thing that you can do when you're trying to figure out why your dog or cat behaves a certain way is just simply look in the mirror, look at the other family members. You know, let's face it, I've said this a million times. Go into the typical home, and the husband tells the dog to jump up. The wife tells the dog to get down. Grandma comes over and tells the dog whatever she wants to tell the dog. The kids tell the dog something entirely different. Someone says come and they walk away. The dog doesn't respond. That's when the dog dials me up. Says, hey, Warren, it's not easy living with human beings. Let's face it. They're making me neurotic here. They're making me crazy. The definition of neurosis is not having a feasible choice. One person tells me to jump up. One person tells me to get down. That's why when you adopt a new dog, or you're bringing in a new cat or a new dog, if you're buying, I don't care if you're buying, whatever you're doing, I prefer you adopt, but whatever you're doing, before you bring that pet into the household, it's really important for everyone to sit down and have a legitimate family discussion in terms of what are the expectations? Who's going to walk the dog? Who's going to feed the dog? Who's going to train the dog? Are we going to train the dog the same way as before? A prime example of that is when I go into a home and the dog looks up and says, hey, Warren, please help. Get some consistency here because it does make all the difference. The phone number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255. I got plenty of time. I'm going to be taking some more phone calls coming up in just a little bit. The question of the day is, who is easier to live with, your pets or your significant other? We'll take a look at that as well. And also, we're going to focus on something. And one of the reasons I've been doing this show for almost 50 years is because of you. You, my listeners. So many of you have adopted or rescued your dogs and cats. And so many have rescued older dogs. I had someone call me this week who rescued a 10-year-old dog. And a lot of people are kind of misinformed that adopting an older dog is not the way to go. They come with baggage. They come with problems. Well, let me explain something to you. Once you take them into the house, once you start working with them, once you start building up their self-image, once you start building up their confidence, it makes all the difference in the world in terms of their ultimate behavior. So make sure, adopt a dog, rescue a dog. Coming up, I'm going to take some time with you, and we're going to talk about training the older dog. Because if you're worried about training an older dog, afraid that you won't be able to housebreak him or teach him good manners and new behaviors, don't be afraid. In principle, training an older dog is exactly the same as training a younger puppy. Maybe it takes a little bit more patience. Maybe it takes a little bit more time. Maybe it takes an extra glass of Chardonnay, not for the dog, but for you. But remember, once you've accomplished that basic training, once the dog realizes he's hit the lottery by being adopted and brought into the home, you will have a dog that is unbelievable, that wants nothing more in life but to spend the time making you feel better about yourself and making you understand the relationship you have with your dog even better than you've ever had before. 877-725-8255, the phone number. 877-725-8255. Plenty of time for your calls. We'll take a look at that. And the question of the day, who's easier to live with, your pet or your significant other? I want to know. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show.
I taught a putty cat a tweeping upon me.
Last on my radio when I'm driving around. We are back on The Pet Show. I'm Warren Eckstein. That phone number, 877-725-8255. Plenty of time for your calls coming up. Training the older dog. Also, we'll take a look at emotional contagion. But right now, I'm going to take a call. Let's go to our next phone call. Welcome to The Pet Show.
I've got basically a pack. I have 5 pups, ranging from 7 years, 1, 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years. They started in the house. How do I get them to stop doing that? The weather changed. They were outside dogs for the most part, but they are. But this year they're coming in and they're in the house at 3:30 in the morning.
I love the blinking.
How do I change the time that they do this?
I love the blinking of the words. In fact, I'm going to put together, I started doing this, but I'm really going to put together all the different terms that my listeners have used over the years to describe their dog's accidents. Not necessarily the one you use, but number 1, number 2. I've gotten number 3. I'm still trying to figure that one out. My dog, Rainy Rain, left a little cigar in the kitchen. I'm going to go over a whole list, I promise you, about that. But let me explain something. These were outdoor dogs, so they were kind of used to going where they were. They were going outdoors. Now you bring them indoors, and it's kind of a group of dogs, so they're being a little territorial. The most important thing that you can do right now is make sure that you clean up any areas where the dogs have gone. Now, a lot of people will run to the cupboard that you missed to clean, top job, whatever they use to clean up. All of those products contain ammonia. So by cleaning up with any ammoniated product, we might as well pee on the floor because we're putting down the same odor we're trying to lift up. So it's imperative, literally imperative, that you actually use a good stain and odor remover, enzymatic, made specifically for dog poop and dog urine. That's number 1. Number 2, get the dogs on a regular feeding schedule and a regular outside schedule. So you know you fed them, then you're going to let them outside about a half hour later. For the next 12 to 14 days, and let me explain something. I don't want to sound like a genius here, but there's not a dog I know that's healthy, that can't be housebroken in literally 10 to 14 days. So here's what you need to do. Once you've cleaned up, confine or watch, no in between. When I say confine, I don't mean cages, just gate off an area. Now, when the dog does have an accident, what most people do is they'll take the dog over to it. They say, bad dog, phooey, what did you do? Wait till daddy comes home. All you're doing by bringing a dog to the mess is telling the dog it's bad to go in that spot. You're not getting across to the dog. It's the act of going inside. That is the problem. So how do you resolve that? So the next time, and if you know that one dog may be doing it, I don't know, if you want to determine which dog's doing it, you can take just a little bit of food coloring and put it in one of the dog's food. And if the poop is blue, you know which dog is pooping in the house. Once we're healthy and once everyone's doing fine, rather than take the dog to the area where they pooped, take the dog to a different location within the same room. Confine the dog with a leash in his collar, tie him up, but obviously enough room to stand up and lie down. Take a little of his poop on a paper towel, put it just in front of him where he can't reach it. Leave him there for 15 minutes. At the end of 15 minutes, come back, no grudges held. Well, what did we just do at that point? What just happened? What we did is we said to the dog, look, it doesn't make any difference where or when you go, and you can do this even if you find it 5 hours later. What we're letting the dog understand at this point is that whenever he goes in the house, he's got to stay with his own mess. Now, I pretty much guarantee you that your dogs are not pooping or peeing where they sleep or where they eat. So the next step is after you clean up the area and you find the dogs have pooped again, just take a little of their dry food or a little of their treat on a paper plate. After you've cleaned up that area, put it in the area where they went. Now, I know what you're saying, but Warren, they're just going to find another area to go in, right? Yeah, maybe. So what do? You take another paper plate with a little of their food and put it in that area. What happens now is the dog gets the idea that, again, wherever it goes, no matter when or where, it's going to have to stay with its own mess. Now, the other thing that's real important, now these were outdoor dogs. I hope they've all got nice baths and you bathe them, because sometimes it's kind of like when I work on my car and I get a little greasy, then I don't care how greasy I really get. So getting your dogs nice and clean can make all the difference in the world. Now, I don't know how you wound up with the 5 dogs, but again, you want to make sure there's no parasites, no ascarids, nothing physical going on. But in terms of housebreaking, I've had as many as 30 dogs at a time, and I was able to walk around my house barefoot. It's going to take some patience, and it's going to take some time. I'm assuming they're rescues, and again, thank you for doing that. But again, housebreaking is real easy. The problem is people listen to too many other people. I'm going to try a little bit of this. I'm going to try a little bit of that. Someone told me to do this. Someone told me to rub that. No. If you try a little bit of this and a little bit of that, your dog will poop a little bit here and poop a little bit there. Follow my directions. Confine or watch, no in between. I know it's more difficult with 5 dogs. Confine or watch, no in between. Clean up those areas with an enzymatic cleaner made specifically for pets. Next time you find which dog did it, confine them in a different area, pick up a little bit of his mess, put it there, start putting their food and paper plates in those areas, and I promise you too will be walking around your house barefoot in no time at all. Phone number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255. The reason I'm laughing, kind of smirking to myself, is that literally, I bet you there's 50 different words that people have used over the years to describe their dog's accidents to me. My listeners in the Midwest, this was one that caught me. When the dog poops outside, they call it little steamers. Little steamers. I got a whole list. It's going to be a stand-up comedy routine, and I promise you I will share those with you coming up in the not too distant future. You know, someone asked me this week, and it was kind of an interesting question. Warren, it always starts out the same way. Hey, Warren, my dog loves everybody. Everybody gets along with the world, except he doesn't like one person. What is that all about? I mean, he gets along with everyone, but he sees this person and he really turns into this devil dog. I mean, he just goes absolutely nuts. So here are some reasons I put together. I wrote this week. I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to put it up on my YouTube channel as well. Possible reasons why your dog is barking or reacting differently to a specific person. And there are many reasons for them, but let me give you some of them. Their appearance or their body language is intimidating. Certain actions or body movements, such as leaning forward when approaching you or your dog, may perceive that as aggression by your dog. Example, years ago, when I first came back from overseas and I was training military dogs there, and I came back and I was doing private training for individuals. I remember one day I was working with a dog, and the woman called up and she said, Warren, I'm seriously dating this guy, but my dog absolutely cannot stand him. Goes absolutely crazy when he sees this guy. First, I told her to find someone else, but then I resolved the issue. I met with her and I met with the gentleman she was serious with. I asked if the dog was adopted, and the dog was adopted. And when I met her fiance or future fiance, I noticed that he had a beard and a mustache. I didn't have a beard and a mustache, and the dog reacted fine to me. And the man had a deep voice, and he wore a hat. So I suggested, listen, if you really love each other, just try this. Try this for me. Will you shave? The guy trimmed his beard down. He took off his hat and started talking gently to the dog. And with a period of time, the dog associated his gentleness and liked the guy. I'm going to give you some more stuff as well. But again, the appearance. Dogs learn psychologically through the association. So he associated, obviously, a man with a hat and a beard as being someone who abused him in the past and therefore reacted that way. Number 2, there are certain scents that dogs may dislike, putting them on edge. For example, they may not like the smell of another dog or a person's clothing. Maybe someone was playing with another dog, and dog sense of smell is incredible. That was my specialty, teaching them to sniff out bombs and drugs. Their sense of smell, their olfactory is amazing. So it could be something as simple. Something as simple as the smell of another dog on a person's clothing. Could be perfume. Could be any number of things. Also, another thing, the body language. You know, if you're tense or stressed around someone, your dog can pick up on this. Very often, on the initial meeting with someone's dog, especially large dogs, I don't know why, the people kind of tense up a little bit. And that tensing up would be the same reaction as another dog would if the dog was being assertive, would tense up as well. So body language goes a long way. And here's probably the most important thing, and it kind of ties in to what I was talking about. They're reminded of past due abuse. Breaks my heart. Really does break my heart. But dogs that have been abused in the past may have trauma that can be triggered when they're reminded of the abusive person. It's kind of like I was talking about my dog and walking behind him. It could be anything from similarities in the body, the shape, the hair, the voice, any number of things. I've actually had to resort to making a recording of a man speaking and had that recording played to the dog when the man wasn't around for a couple of weeks at a low volume, increasing it gradually till the dog was desensitized and he was only getting positive reaction from the person he was with when he heard this voice, and ultimately he came around. So there's always a way to resolve it. And now the dog was best friends with that person. Unfamiliar things also can be part of that. When a dogs are faced with things they're not familiar with, they can react that way, or mistreatment. And that's another one. What might be happening when you're not looking, when a dog angrily barks at a specific person, it may be a response to that person or treatment. If you watch the news, if you read, there are some incredible people out there that take their dogs for walks, or they hire someone to come to their house to pet sit for their dog. When I have someone coming to my home, I check into that person's background as much as I would check into that person's background if they were going to work for the CIA or the FBI. I want to know what other dogs they've been with, how the other dogs reacted to them. I want to know what their reaction is. So it's really, really important, because I've worked in situations over the years where someone would call into the show, or when I was doing the Today Show, they would send me a letter at the Today Show, where the dog all of a sudden wasn't reacting right when the person who took care of the dog when they were away came over. And now with the nanny cameras and cameras all over the place, it's a lot easier to see. But, that's why there are nanny cameras. And I believe there should be nanny cameras for dogs and cats. So when you're not away and someone's taking care of your dog or your cat, they can take a look at that as well. So it's really, really important. If you notice your dog is not reacting the same way around a specific person, it's time to take a look at that person from your dog's perspective. It really can make a big difference. The phone number, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. That is the way to get through. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up on today's show. Someone called me this week and says, Warren, again, hey, Warren, every time I lay down on the couch, every time I lay down on my bed, I love my cat, I adore my cat, but I got to get some sleep. I'm spending too much money on makeup. Why? So why is it that when you lie down and you want to relax, why is it that your cat is always deciding at that moment to lay right on your chest and start to purr? What is about you lying down that gets your cat to that point? Give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. 877-725-8255, the phone number. 877-725-8255. Let's go to EJ. Hey, EJ, welcome to the Pet Show. All right, let me take a break first. Now we'll get back to EJ. The phone number, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is the Pet Show.
Oh, it's the best old hound dog I ever did.
And we are back on the show. We're going to break for the top there. When we come back, though, an important call. We're going to go to my friend EJ, and he wants to know whether or not his dog's going to accept their soon-to-be arriving baby. A common question. We'll resolve that for EJ coming up on the Pet Show. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is the Pet Show.
Warren Eckstein, the man for your pets. We tried to stumble, but we haven't yet. Your dog is barking, your cat missed the box. Your ferret chewed up all your favorite socks. He sure knows how to get inside your pet's head. But maybe it's you who needs to be trained instead.
And if you love your dogs and adore your cats, you have come to the right place. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is the Pet Show, the place where we absolutely help you resolve any issues you may be having with your dogs or cats. Jumping, humping, digging, scratching, housebreaking, litter box problems, aggression, separation anxiety. If you have a question about your dog or cat's behavior, give me a call. The phone number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255. 877-725-8255. That is the way to get through. The question of the day is, who is easier to live with? Your dog, your cat, or your significant other? You know, the one that walks upright. 877-725-8255. That is the way to get through. Let's jump to another call right now. Let's go to my friend EJ. Hey, EJ, welcome to the Pet Show. EJ's calling, and his question to me is basically here.
I have a couple of questions about a puppy that just kind of adopted to us. How to best acclimate new puppy with our upcoming baby, like very soonly upcoming baby.
Nothing like calling me at the last minute, EJ. But let me go over a few things for you. First of all, this is such an important topic, whether you're having a baby like EJ, or maybe you're a grandma to be, or an aunt, an uncle. Listen to me carefully. Over the years, this is very, very common. A lot of people get married and they have a dog or cat that pre-exists the arrival of their baby. So the question always comes up is, how do I get the dog or cat to get along with the arrival of the baby? Something I'm very familiar with. Over the years, I've had the opportunity and the pleasure of doing many lectures for Lamaze classes, I think they're called, at the hospitals around the country for expectant parents. I've written articles for Baby Talk magazine. I've written articles for Parents magazine, specifically on this subject. As a matter of fact, I don't often do this, but I'm pulling out a copy of my book, How to Get Your Dog to Do What You Want. And in that book, on page 80, it's titled, What to Expect from Your Pet When You're Expecting. And basically, I put it all in here. So I'm going to share this with you, EJ, so listen carefully. Number one, and you say you have this new puppy now. The first thing you need to start doing before the baby arrives, even if you only have a week or so, is start training the dog so you have a positive way to communicate with the dog. Otherwise, when the baby comes home, the dog's going to want to go sniff and jump, and you're going to say, no, no, no. Right off the bat, there's going to be a negative association. So doing some good training right at the beginning is critical. Getting the dog used to what a baby's going to sound like. A baby crying is strange from a dog's point of view. So you can either download from the computer, I think there's one on my website, thepetshow.com as well, the sound of a baby crying. And at night when you're sitting around or hanging out, play it at a very, very low volume. And over a period of time, increase it gradually till the dog is no longer really paying attention to it that much. That's number one. Now, what about the smells? All of a sudden, this new baby comes into the house and he pees and he poops, and the dog says, hey, listen, if it's good for him, why can't I pee and poop in the house? So before the baby arrives, getting the dog adjusted to the scent of a baby, just taking a diaper, a little drop of ammonia in it, is really important as well. And if you possibly can, set up the baby's room with the bassinet, the crib, everything that's going to be in there prior to the baby coming. This way, the dog's getting used to the mobiles and the rattles and all the different things that are in that room as well. And play house. What do I mean by that? This is going to sound a little weird, but listen to me. Go out, get yourself a doll that resembles a baby. Some of them even burp and cry. That's fine. Whatever, if you want, you can call the doll your baby's name, what you're going to name your baby. Some people have a superstition, so that's up to you. And actually play house. This is the baby now. The dog gets used to you holding something else, giving something else attention. And if he's taking his paw and whacking it, that's where some good basic training comes into play. So that's really, really important to understand. The other thing is, and this is so, so critical, the father, for the most part, has been home the whole time. Mom is going away for a couple of days to give birth. So the puppy has not seen mom for a couple of days. So, of course, when mom returns, the puppy's going to be really excited. So if the mom walked in holding the baby, what's going to happen is, in fact, she's going to hold the baby. The dog's going to go want to see her and maybe jump and play. And she's going to say no. Again, the negative association. The puppy goes to meet the baby. The first thing it hears from mom is no. So here's my recommendation. Makes all the difference. When you come home from the hospital, have the woman walk in without the baby for a couple of seconds to greet the dog, get over that excitement, go over that initial exuberance. Then father can walk in with the baby a minute or two later. He's old hat. He's been there the whole time. The dog may be excited, but not as excited about seeing the way it was when seeing the mom. So those are all things that are really, really important. Now, if you have grandparents and aunts and uncles coming over, they may have come over in the past and they might have brought toys and played with the puppy and wanted to hang out with the puppy. But you know what? Not so much anymore. Why? They want to run right past the puppy and see the new baby. Of course, I understand that, but that's a no-no. At the front door of your home, what you need to do is you need to actually have a bag of toys and treats for the dog. Why? When people come over, you have to make them stop. You have to make them spend some time with the puppy, giving the puppy a new toy or a new treat before going in and seeing the baby. Again, a positive association with the baby makes all the difference. Now remember, the room's got to be set up because the mobiles and the rattles and all those things are going to be there. There is no better relationship in the world. I mean, those of us that grew up as babies with dogs or cats know that, understanding and know the relationship. And if you take the time and you make the baby's arrival a positive thing for the dog or cat, if you have a cat, it really can make all the difference in terms of the future. Now, I would have the baby around when you're going to feed the dog. There are some people that say, well, what if the dog is a little possessive over his food? Well, let's resolve that at the same time. Start feeding the dog out of 2 dishes. Separate them a little bit so he realizes if one dish is empty, there's another dish that's full. Exercise is critical at this point. Rotate the dog's toys so there's always something new for him to look at. That exercise is important. But again, the most important thing, if you have time, and I know EJ, I think we lost him, but EJ said that the baby's coming relatively soon, so you don't have a whole lot of time. So it's time to get your act in gear and start focusing on it. Again, if you follow my advice, taking the time to train the dog, taking the time to give the dog plenty of exercise, giving the dog the socialization, the sound of what a baby's going to sound like, the smell of what a baby's going to smell like, that does, in fact, make that relationship that you're looking for really make all the difference in the world. So I would definitely suggest that. So check out this. EJ, go to my website, thepetshow.com. Check out my YouTube channel, YouTube at Warren Eckstein. Or pick up a copy of the book at my website, by the way, or Amazon. I believe at my website, thepetshow.com, we've never done this before, but I think they're having a special closeout. It's not a closeout sale. I don't want to say closeout, but they're having a special end of the year, whatever. They're having a special sale on my website, thepetshow.com. So check out that. There's some free information there as well. If you look at the articles, there's a whole article I put together specifically on what I'm suggesting to you in terms of making sure that you take all the proper steps so that this child coming into your home and your puppy will become best friends and grow up together. It's really, listen, there's no better relationship. I know as a kid growing up, as your baby gets older, as he starts walking and starts playing, that puppy is going to become his best friend. There are times when he may be a little bit older that he's going to want to spend more time with that puppy. And that puppy and that child are going to become, symbiotic with each other. They're going to be one and the same. It really makes all the difference in the world. So give the puppy the opportunity to establish a relationship with a new best friend. Give your baby the opportunity to establish a relationship with a new best friend. And they will grow up together. I'm telling you, they'll grow up together. I can't imagine having grown up without a dog or a cat in my household. I couldn't imagine what that would have been like. It was absolutely amazing. 877-725-8255, the phone number. 877-725-8255. Now, the question from EJ was interesting because he's got a puppy. But what about the situation where someone wants to adopt an older dog or an older cat? Well, it could take a little bit more time. I don't know, because very often we don't know the background of what the dog's been through. Maybe he was abused by children. Who knows? So with an older dog or an older cat, it's very similar. Getting some good basic training involved so you have a positive way to communicate with the dog. For example, if the dog seems to be jumping towards the child, you want to stop the jumping. That's part of the training. But let's say he's beginning a little bit too rough. You want to be able to say sit and stay rather than no, 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 no. You don't want the dog to associate any negativity with that baby. Anytime there's association of negativity, that's where the problem occurs. So, EJ, good luck. I wish you all the luck in the world. A puppy and a baby. You'll be as great as me in no time at all, I promise. Hey, the phone number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. That is the way to get through. Now, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because you guys know now, I live in Arizona, right? The average temperature in Arizona is hell. It does get pretty warm here. It's not too warm at the moment. So someone asked me, well, I have a long-haired dog. Is it better for me to shave the dog down in the summertime so the dog would be actually cooler? Well, a couple of things. Number one is I believe that certain dogs do get embarrassed when you shave them down, kind of like me when I get a haircut. But you should not shave your dog's fur in the summertime. Mother Nature knows what she's talking about. If you shave down the fur, the heat goes directly from the sun to your dog's skin or your cat's skin. By leaving the fur the way it was, by the time the heat reaches the skin, it's had the opportunity of going through the fur and cooling down. It works just like insulation. The same in the heat, the same in the winter. So you can trim around their eyes a little bit if you want to trim around their butt a little bit and around their feet. I have no problem. But shaving a dog down or a cat can really, number one, make them feel embarrassed. But number two, doesn't give them the same protection. And remember, dogs and cats can get sunburnt just like people can. So it's interesting. People always say, summertime heat, shave them down. No, leave them the way they are. I'm telling you, Mother Nature knows what she's talking about.
Need to break.
877-725-8255. Let me take a quick break. Then we'll get back to some phone calls and training the older dog right after this. You know, I want to tell you about my good friends over at Delta Rescue, one of the organizations I really do admire. If you really want to make a difference, and you're listening to the Pet Show, so I assume you love animals, and save thousands of animals abandoned by their owners with no other shot in life, you can. Your donations can absolutely change the life, the destiny of these poor dogs and cats and other animals as well that had no shot in life. What do you mean by no shot? I mean they were tossed out of cars in the deserts, in the forest, abandoned, dropped off somewhere. They never had a shot until Delta Rescue. You know, almost 50 years ago, Leo Grillo, my good friend, and Delta Rescue would never be able to do the absolutely amazing work they do every day without you, my listeners, and bless you for your support. From saving lives to providing lifetime medical care. Lifetime. Over 1,500 animals. You know how much that cost? I believe in my heart, and I've known them for almost 50 years, that Delta Rescue is a group that in fact does deserve your dollars. By donating to Delta Rescue or making a bequest in your estate planning, it will make your legacy work for the animals right now, saving fundraising costs, and provides tax benefits for you. Everyone wins. The animals win, and you win at the same time. Every donation is an opportunity, a chance to keep more than 1,500 dogs, cats, and horses not just happy, not just healthy, not even just saved, but loved for the first time in their life. Every living thing deserves to be loved, including these dogs and cats. Delta, by the way, is a top-ranked charity by GuideStar.com. Go to their website, deltarescue.org. That's deltarescue.org. Or text them directly, dogs to 801-801, dogs to 801-801. By the way, while you're there, subscribe to their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Leo Grillo, Animal Rescuer. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show. And we are back on The Pet Show. I'm Warren Eckstein. Phone number 877-725-8255. You can always call and ask me a question. But right now, let's go. We have a great call coming in about a cat that started peeing in the house. And she's assuming that maybe stress is involved. Well, you hit the nail on the head. You know, very often, as an animal psychologist, as an animal behaviorist, I have to look at both the dog, the cat, excuse me, and the person at the same time. And very often when we have a cat that's been really well using its litter box on a regular basis, no problem, never peed or pooped, and just using the litter box, but all of a sudden it start peeing in other parts of the house. There could be reasons for it. Number one, and the most important thing, is make sure you have the cat checked by the vet to make sure there's no bladder infections, kidney infections, nothing that's medically causing the cat to have accidents. That's number one. Number two is to take a really good analytical look at yourself and your home. What has changed? Did you put down new carpeting? Did you get new furniture? Did you change what you use to clean the floor? Did you change what you use to wash your clothing and the bedding? All of these things can make a difference. So let's say now we've gone to the vet, the cat is healthy. How do we stop the cat from peeing in the house? Number one, you hear me say this all the time, you need to find out where the cat has peed. And if you don't know where the cat has peed, how do you find out? You can go to a pet store, a lighting store. You can rent or buy a small black light. You know what I'm talking about. We had these black lights, all of us, with pictures of Farrah Fawcett when I was a kid, or Jimi Hendrix. When you go at night and you shine the black light and all the other lights are closed, any urine markings in the carpeting will actually show up. So once you realize where the accidents actually occurred, then you can go about cleaning them with a good stain and odor remover specifically made for them. So we got a clean bill of health for the cat. We know the cat is healthy, but there's got to be another reason. What about your anxiety? What about your stress? Is your job really stressful? Are you having some physical problems yourself? Maybe you have a little arthritis, you're not feeling good. Very often, the smallest change in our behavior, can trigger this response. So the question comes up, okay, Warren, now you told us that stress can be a contributor. It could be a medical issue. We've ruled out medical. So now what caused it? Maybe there's another cat in the neighborhood. Maybe there's a stray cat walking outside. Maybe you stepped in the urine of a stray cat when you walked into the house and brought that smell into your house. And now your cat feels, that it has to go over and resolve that issue. I'm gonna have to break in a minute, but before I do that, when we come back, I'm gonna finish up by resolving the issue, because so many people have this, and there's a lot of things that you can do besides cleaning up properly and feeding the cat. There's a lot of self-looking or self-observing that you can do, and we can figure out exactly what may be causing your cat to start peeing in the house. Never peed before, all of a sudden it start peeing.
30
Number
seconds.
one is physical, and number two is psychological. Your vet will handle the physical, yours truly will handle psychological. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll resolve the peeing cat. I'm Warren Eckstein, and yes, you are listening to The Pet Show. And we are back on The Pet Show. I'm Warren Eckstein. We were talking about a cat. We have a call from someone calling about a cat that all of a sudden started peeing in the house. And I explained that perhaps there's something externally, whether it be a physical problem, or it could be the fact that there's another cat outside, or maybe you stepped in something and brought it inside and the cat feels it needs to claim its territory. So, number one, once you've got that clean bill of health from the vet, here's what you need to do. You know, very often cats react to pheromones. On the market now, you can go to any of the pet stores, you can go to Amazon, Petco, wherever, you can get pheromones that plug in to your electrical socket, which send pheromones throughout the house. Very often, that will calm the cat down. So that's one objective. Number two, have you done anything to the litter box? Did you change the type of litter? Is the cat getting older, having more difficulty getting into the litter box? You may want to temporarily put down a second litter box. So that could be part of it as well. But let's say you're the perfect cat guardian. You ruled that you did everything I said to do. What do you do now? So the cat started peeing in the house. Again, the black light, as I suggested, take that, find out where the cat has peed, clean it up with the proper cleaner, good enzymatic cleanings made specifically for dogs or cats. And then what I want you to do, I know it's not thrilling, but I want you to spend more time with the cat, specifically in the areas you've just cleaned up, once it's cleaned up, obviously. Put some of his treats there. You can put some of his food there, some of his toys there. It's very, very rare that a cat is going to pee where it sleeps, where it plays, or where it kind of hangs out, or where it, is with you. So by spending more time in those areas, once you've found them out using the black light and cleaning them up properly and placing some of the treats and the toys and the food there and spending more time in that area, I could pretty much guarantee you, and again, providing that, as you say, the cat is healthy, went to the vet, that there's a good possibility that in a matter of days, the peeing will stop. The only other thing, the one other thing I'm going to throw in here is that over the years, I have seen cats that were perfectly litter box trained that all of a sudden having accidents had nothing to do with the cat. It had something to do with the physical changes of the humans that they're living with. Just something to take into consideration. They're very astute. So follow my advice. I'm sure it'll work for you. If not, you give me a call back. We can go a little bit further with you. But at this point, I think that's the place that you want to be. But it is amazing. People often, their first reaction, if they have a dog that's not housebroken or a cat that's doing it, their first impulse is to get angry. And anger never resolves any issue. It never resolves anything. Abuse never resolves anything. Taking the time to figure out can really make all the difference in the world. I mean, all the difference in the world. I want to spend a couple of minutes here now talking about older pets. And why do I want to do that? I've been talking to you guys for many, many years. And I'm always an advocate of adopting the older dog or the older cat. So I wrote this up, and again, I'm going to put this on YouTube, but I want you to listen to me carefully. Because if you're worried or even concerned about training an older dog, literally afraid that you're not going to be able to housebreak him or teach him good manners and new behavior, don't be. Don't be afraid. In principle, I get it. Training an older dog is exactly the same as training a younger puppy. The difference being that you may need a little extra helping of patience because, as often we don't know, older dogs, mature dogs, any adult dog may take a little longer to pick up on behaviors. Very often, the longer they've spent with bad habits, which many strays do or many rescues do, the more ingrained they are. But don't worry, it can all be resolved. It just means that when you adopt an older dog and you bring him home, first of all, give him some time to decompress. He's in a shelter, maybe, or he's stray on the street. In a shelter, there are hundreds of other dogs barking and people yelling and a lot of noise and a lot of tension. Give the dog the opportunity to decompress a little bit. The good news, and the really good news, is that he's perfectly capable of learning just about anything you want him to. Good potty behavior, obeying basic commands, and having nice manners are the most important part at first. Let me share a few things with you. Many of you know I trained for many years in Europe and had the opportunity with doing very advanced training for forces there. Schutzhund training, Polizeihund training, ring sport training. And a lot of the socialization begins in an early age, but sometimes the training is done a little bit later on. And I do believe that the socialization with a young dog, the most important thing is socializing and exposure. But very often with these older dogs, we're starting with a 2 or 3 year old puppy. They haven't been socialized. They don't know what positive reinforcement is. Maybe they were trained in a negative way. So that's why it's important for you to be able to sit down and read the dog. And if you don't understand, if you're confused, knock on wood, there are some really good behaviorists and trainers out there. You can ask people at the dog park for advice. You can ask your vet for advice. But let me caution you on advice, okay? Advice comes in good and bad. And if it sounds stupid to you and it sounds abusive to you, chances it is. So here's what I want you to do. Don't hesitate to adopt an older dog or an older cat for that matter. With time and patience, very often, it's actually easier. They're a little mellower. They're a little calmer. Very often when you adopt a dog from a shelter, they're already housebroken. They've already been through the terrible twos. So I'm always an advocate, and I've adopted dogs as old as 13, 14 years old. But if you're adopting an older dog, don't fret. Don't just say, well, I don't want to adopt an older dog because he's going to come with baggage. He's going to come with problems. Anyone that you speak to involved with rescue, anyone you speak to when it comes to humane work, will tell you
Break after this.
when you adopt a dog or rescue a dog or an older cat and you bring them into your home, spend some time with them, socialize, expose, bring them up properly. And when you do, it'll make all the difference in the world. I promise you. 877-725-8255, the phone number. Quick break, then right back to your calls.
I thought you were going to have a read there.
I do. I do.
Oh, you haven't done it yet?
No.
Okay, hang on. Here we go. Whenever you're ready.
I want to tell you about my Hugs and Kisses website. If you've not been to my website, I want you to check it out. This is the way you get to the website. thepetshow.com. I'm going to say it 3 times. thepetshow.com, thepetshow.com. The is part of it. All one word, thepetshow.com. Why am I talking so much about the Pet Show? This is the Hugs and Kisses online year-end clearance. Everything must go. There's a big sale going on with those air horns, and you know how important those air horns are. They can make all the difference in the world if you take your dog for a walk, or if you're walking by yourself and you come across stray dogs, coyotes, stray people, whatever. Having one of those little pocket air horns can make all the difference. They are on sale. They come in 2 different sizes. Check out the air horns at thepetshow.com. And while you're there, check out my books, How to Get Your Dog to Do What You Want, How to Get Your Cat to Do What You Want. And listen to this. All my books are 25% off only on my website, thepetshow.com. And here's the deal with the T-shirts. These are the T-shirts that I designed. Years ago, on the Letterman show, I came up with the term, none of my friends walk upright. And people loved it. Dave said you ought to coin that, and so I did. So the T-shirts are now available that say, none of my pets walk upright, with great picture of a dog and a cat. I'm guaranteed if you wear this T-shirt, you're going to get stopped. People are going to ask you and talk to you. And here's the deal with the T-shirts. You order the T-shirts at thepetshow.com. And when you order them, I take the money from the T-shirts and I donate that to my Hugs and Kisses AnimalFund.org, my own nonprofit. So when you order one of those T-shirts, you're going to have a ball, and they come in literally dozens of different colors, sizes small to 5X. Go to the website, thepetshow.com. Check out the air horns. Check out copies of my best-selling books. Check out the T-shirts. You'll be helping animals at the same time. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show. And we are back on The Pet Show. I'm Warren Eckstein. That phone number, 877-725-8255. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Please say it ain't so. The Labrador Retriever, America's most popular dog for over 3 decades, 30 years, has been dethroned. Dethroned. The Labrador Retriever no longer the most popular dog in America. Welcome, my friends, to the Frenchie Renaissance. Yes, the lovable French Bulldog is now the most popular dog in America. According to the American Kennel Club, after 31 years at the top, the Labrador dropped to number 2. The Frenchie has reached a summit after years ascending the ranks, which are based on registrations. Labrador, not the number 1 dog. I love French Bulldogs and I love Labradors, but French Bulldogs, when I was living in Santa Monica, California, I moved about 1.5 years ago. If you were to walk down one of the most affluent streets in Santa Monica, Montana Avenue, on a Saturday or Sunday, all you would see would be people walking with French Bulldogs. And it's nice. I love them. They're beautiful and they're cute. But I just wish people could understand some of the medical issues that French Bulldogs and other breeds like that have before they make that decision. Great. I'm glad they're great and I'm glad they're popular, but I don't know. Labrador Retriever pushed aside for the French Bulldogs. Times, they are a-changing. Hey, the phone number, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. That is the way to get through. So, again, I'm doing another radio show this week. I'm not going to tell you which one because it competes against mine, but listen to me carefully. The question came up, hey, Warren, why does my cat lay on my chest and purr Listen to me carefully. If you have a cat, you're not going to want to miss this. Maybe a dog lays on your chest. Laying on your chest and purring is probably one of the coolest cat features. When a cat purrs on your chest, it's usually a sign that they're content, they're relaxed, they love the rhythm of your breathing, the sound of your heartbeat, and the fact that you're not going anywhere. Basically, you have become your cat's hammock. Take it from me. But purring just isn't about happiness and contentment. That means your cat might be purring not just because they're happy, but because it helps them feel better too. They may even lay on your chest to try and help you feel better if you're sick. Now, again, this does not sound normal to someone who's never had the opportunity of being owned by a cat. And you heard me right, being owned by a cat. How many people out there that have had the opportunity to be owned by a cat understand that when the cat really loves you and they want to be close to you and you're lying in bed, they want to be as comfortable, and from their perspective, because purring is usually done between a mother and kittens, they want to make you feel better. They'll lie on your chest and they'll purr.
Break after this.
In fact, sometimes they actually need, but that's starting to get the mother's milk flowing. You don't have to worry about that. I do. So, if your cat is lying on your chest and purring, it's one of two things. He wants to make himself feel better, or in many cases, he wants to make you feel better. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show. I want to tell you about my friends over at Delta Rescue. Listen to me carefully. If you were positive, I mean really positive, that every single dollar you donated, you can absolutely change the destiny of dogs and cats deserted in the wild. Isn't that a legacy you'd all want to leave behind? You listen to The Pet Show? Of course it is. For almost 50 years now, 50 years, Delta Rescue would never be able to do the work they do without you, my listeners, and your generous support, and bless you for that. From saving lives to providing lifetime medical care, lifetime, over 1,500 dogs and cats. Delta Rescue is a group that I believe deserves your dollars. That's why in my own estate planning, I made a bequest for Delta's animals. A bequest to Delta Rescue will make your legacy work for the animals right now, avoid fundraising costs, and as I say, provide tax benefits for you and the future. That means that you win, the pets win, everybody wins. But I get it. You may not be ready to make long-range plans, but every donation, $1, $10, $50, $100, $1,000, $1 million, every donation is an opportunity, a chance to keep more than 1,500 dogs, cats, and horses happy, safe, healthy, and loved for the first time in their life. You love your dogs. Every animal deserves to be loved. That's what Delta does. Go to their website, deltarescue.org. That's deltarescue.org. Or text the word dogs to 801-801. By the way, Delta is a top-ranked charity by GuideStar.com. While you're there, subscribe to their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Leo Grillo, Animal Rescuer. That's youtube.com/Leo Grillo, Animal Rescuer. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show.
Everybody wants to be a cat because a cat's the only cat.
Everybody wants to be. How cool would it be to be a cat? It'd be pretty cool to be a cat. It'd be pretty cool to be my cat or one of your cats. We are back on The Pet Show. Phone number 877-725-8255. Question came up this week. Is dogs and licking? It was an interesting question, one I hadn't received. The question came is, Warren, why do dogs lick the floor? Ever notice your dog licking the floor? Well, there could be a lot of reasons for it. Dogs explore the world through their mouths and their nose. So licking the floor can be part of their natural curiosity. However, there are some behaviors that you need to take a look at. For example, if you're like me and you're sloppy, there's usually crumbs or some type of sauce or something on the floor. As much as I try to clean it up with my dog's sense of smell. Remember, I taught dogs to sniff out bumps and drugs. They know it. Might be just something interesting residue-wise on the floor. However, it could be more than that. And this is where I want you to listen carefully. The majority of dogs presented with excessive licking of surfaces, specifically the couch, the floor, are usually affected by some type of gastrointestinal disorder, something going on with the GI tract. So when you have a dog that seems to be licking excessively, especially the couch, the floor, it's always a good idea to have them checked to make sure it's not a GI disorder. Now, as a behaviorist, I deal with this all the time. Licking generally, from a dog's point of view, is like lighting a cigar or having a martini for someone. It really helps them soothe down themselves. So very often you'll notice a dog licking their lips. Can mean different things, but very often it's a sign of relaxing, and that's what they do. Could also mean anxiety or stress. So if you have a dog that's excessively licking the floor, himself, the chairs, it could be a sign of anxiety as well. Could be displaced grooming. Sometimes they get confused. Could be allergies. Could be boredom. Could be some type of compulsive disorder as well. In the future, we'll talk about some compulsive disorders. Now, what about the dog that's laying on its back with their tail and back legs loose and touching the ground? So many of these different behaviors mean different things, and I hope that's what we get across here in the Pet Show. If I can do one thing, and I've been talking to you guys for almost 50 years, if I can get across one thing, I want to share that. Take the time to observe your pets, observe your dogs and cats. They will tell you more about them than you can know. And by the way, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, youtube.com, Warren Eckstein, Eckstein, go there. I share a lot of videos there, not just behavior videos. You'll get to see me
1
as
minute.
the creature keeper on the Mickey Mouse Club. Lots of great advice there as well. So check out youtube.com, Warren Eckstein. Follow me on my social media, Instagram at Warren Eckstein, Facebook, Warren Eckstein, TikTok. Just follow me. I share a lot of information there that can help you out during the week. So until next week, you all know what to do by now, right? Take the time to thank your pets. Give them all a big hug and a kiss for you, and a special hug and a kiss right between the ears for me. I'm Warren Eckstein, and thank you for listening to The Pet Show.
Rockin' Robin.